Elite Facts presents People Who Got the Best Revenge Ever. 6. In 2006, Anthony Stockman was charged with molesting and murdering 10-year-old Katie Coleman. Red carpet fibers that matched those found in Stockman's mother's house were found on the scene. His DNA was found on the body and on a cigarette butt nearby. If that wasn't enough, an eyewitness saw Coleman riding in Stockman's pickup truck. He'd been transferred to Wabash Valley Correctional Facility, where prison officials hadn't realized that Katie Coleman's cousin was also serving time. And in prison, those who murder or molest children are at the lowest point of the food chain, and they're targeted from the get-go. And boy, was he targeted. Several months after his intake, Stockman turned up in the prison with a fresh, amateur tattoo applied to his forehead. It read, "Katie's Revenge." Officials looked into the incident, believing that fellow inmates had forcibly applied the permanent tattoo to Stockman's forehead. 5. Buford Pusser was an American hero. He cast across the nation one of the tallest shadows in law enforcement history. His daring exploits as McNairy County, Tennessee's sheriff made him a legend, and they even made him into a movie. Old friends said he was a soft-spoken gentleman. He was stout and stood at over 6 feet tall, weighing in around 250 pounds. Pusser served as sheriff until 1970. During that time, he was shot and stabbed numerous times as he tried to rid McNairy County of organized crime. It was then that Pusser dedicated his life to the job of sheriff and helped clean up the county while on duty, using a large wooden stick as his weapon of choice. The gangs he so tried to rid the county of even murdered his wife. She died in an ambush, which some believe was an assassination attempt against Pusser. After the incident, Pusser went looking for the mob that did it, found them, and he wiped out the entire crew single-handedly. They had no chance of revenge, as they no longer existed. 4. Al Markowitz took revenge to a new level and used his money to help him. He decided he had to divorce his wife after finding out she was cheating on him with his best friend. She was forced out of their home and actually moved in with his friend. Al wasn't finished there. He went and bought the house next door to the couple, and in the most outrageous way, he constructed a monument to his living memory of his ex-wife. This huge 8-foot-high middle finger aimed right at the couple's house. A constant reminder for them both. The best part is, it was even lit up at night, so they had 24-hour finger time. 3. Lorena Bobbit looks as wholesome and happy as one can be in this image. A picture of bliss and part of a happy marriage to her husband, John Bobbit. The pair had been seemingly happily married for many years, and to their friends and family, all was well from the outside looking in. But that wasn't so. In 1993, Bobbit cut off her husband's penis with a kitchen knife while he slept, and later claimed that it was the result of years of infidelity and abuse. Lorena claimed in a court hearing that after coming home one night, her husband raped her. At some point after her husband had gone to sleep, Lorena got out of bed and grabbed a knife. She entered the bedroom and removed the entire penis at its base. After this, Lorena left the apartment with the severed body part and drove away in her car. After a while, she opened the car window and threw it into a field. After realizing the severity of her crime, however, she stopped and called 911. After an exhaustive search, John's penis was found and reattached in the hospital where he was being treated. In a kind of double revenge twist, John was offered to star in 2 separate adult movies starring several of the most beautiful adult stars of the time, and he did just that. So it might have been worth the whole ordeal after all. 2. This guy here is Frank Eaton. Odds are you've never heard of him, but his story is thrilling nonetheless. In a similar story to a famous superhero, Eaton's parents were murdered right before his eyes by a gang of outlaws. The gang was notorious for this kind of action, trawling the deserts of the western regions to loot and plunder whatever they could, often leaving death in their wake. They didn't manage to get to Frank, though. He was taken in by a family member, and he wasn't your kindly old farmer guy. He was a deadly shooter of a gun, and he taught Eaton everything he needed to know about the guns he was carrying and the world he was living in. He soon grew up and got old enough to venture out, and the only thing on his mind was revenge. Eventually, he found the gang that killed his parents, and he shot down 5 of the 6 members. He didn't manage to shoot the sixth because he was already dead. After the ordeal, he would serve as either a marshal, a sheriff, or a deputy sheriff until late in life. He was married twice, had 9 children, 31 grandchildren, and lived to see 3 great-great-grandchildren before peacefully dying at the age of 97. 1. When a happily married woman realized her life was slowly changing, she started to pinpoint exactly why it was happening. She deduced that her husband was coming home later, smelling of having just showered, and not having any kind of sex drive at all anymore. She was worried. One day, she was cleaning their car and found an open box of condoms in there. She knew something was up and decided on revenge. Instead of going crazy and doing something insane, she decided to keep it as painful and memorable as possible. She very calmly took the box of condoms and pricked holes in every one. She went to the store and bought a whole load of chilies, mainly habaneros. And then she boiled them down to a stew before letting the condoms soak in the now fiery and spicy as hell water, pinpricks allowing it to all soak in. And then she waited. A couple of days later, her concerned best friend called, and to her shock, she was complaining of a burning sensation down below. She had found the other half of the act. Her husband was also in extreme pain with his nether regions burning up and turning a bright shade of purple. So much so, he had to go to the hospital. But her revenge was done by then. What a burning desire to get even she had. Thanks for watching another amazing video, folks. Subscribe for more from Elite Facts.